thegearnetwork.com.
The following is a presentation of the Gear Radio Network.
This is the Listen In Podcast with your hosts, John Cimino and Brandon Gorell, here on the Gear Radio Network.
Oh, hello, everybody. Hello. Hi. Hey, Brandon's here. Look at this. It is whether or not you are listening on the JC Money Show feed or the Listen In, the podcast feed. I still have that active. But it's us. It is us, the Listen In.
Fresh out the
team
joint.
Here. Fresh out the joint. Rocking his Life Rip shirt right over here to my right, Mr. Brandon Gorell. I am John Cimino, and I am JC Money on Twitter. And welcome to the podcast this week, my babies. Brandon, first time, long time in general with the two of us on the podcast, but in person.
Yeah.
Because I think the last time we did this, it was on the Zoom. I don't know.
I think so, because we were supposed to do it in person, and then we were just both like, I'm fucking tired.
Indeed.
The over 40 hit us, and we were like, I don't feel like going anywhere.
As a press recording right now, it is it's 8:37 on a Thursday night. We've got Thursday night football going on. The only person right now that's active on the television screen right now that's older than us is Tom Brady.
Yeah. I mean, besides the coaching staff.
Well, yeah, but I mean active like in football.
I'm
Well,
sure
the refs are
there's,
probably older too.
Yeah, there's probably some guys over on the sideline that are about to get run over at some point tonight too.
Maybe.
That are in their 50s and 60s.
It could be. My man, how in the hell are you? Welcome again, everybody, to the podcast. But Brandon, man, how the hell are you? How was your summer?
It's good, man. It was a pretty fast summer. It kind of sucked.
Yeah.
It went by too quick. I had a lot of stuff to do. You know, we did our camp trip. You didn't break anything this time.
Nope, I couldn't. I almost broke my goddamn ankle in June.
Yeah. So, successful trip again this year. We didn't get any rain for the first time ever, I think.
Right.
I did a trip with my kids this year. Took like a proper vacation. Normally I take vacation and I maybe go somewhere on a weekend and then spend the whole week doing some stupid ass project at my house and wasting a bunch of time and then getting exhausted by the end of it and going, man, I can't wait to go back to work so I can relax. And then before I knew it, it was like, what are all these fucking leaves doing on the ground? Like, it's already fall. It's already cold. Mm-hmm. It's like 45 today was the high.
Yep.
Took my dog out to go to the bathroom this morning at like 6:30, and I'm like, Jesus, it's frost on the grass right now.
He's taking a shit and it's steaming.
No, that was later in the day.
Oh, okay.
He just pissed everywhere because that's what he does.
that's what he does.
But yeah, it's and then we're into football, and my team sucks this year.
Yeah, and for right now at the start, mine doesn't, and that's really weird. It's a very odd. It's very odd to
it's like
think
Bizarro World.
Right, because last we talked on the podcast, the Listen In podcast, channeling our old football talk weekly days, the Jets were terrible. And I would bitch about them every single freaking week. And throughout the entire duration...
First snap of the game, they don't want it.
Yeah, no, well, that was before. That was when they were actually on again, off again playoff. They'd make the playoffs one year, and then they'd miss the next year. And then I'd bitch about it, and then they make the playoffs the next year. And now I'd kill for that because I haven't had it in goddamn 11 years now.
Yeah.
But
you get greedy.
They're 5-2. Yeah, they're getting greedy. Buffalo, you guys are on the clock with that right now. Y'all are getting a little too greedy. I get it because I co-host.
It's exciting times for them.
Yeah, it is, and I co-host with Ryan still.
You got to temper them expectations though, because it leads to real bad pain later if you don't.
Right.
Come through.
13 seconds last year, prime example of that.
I'm telling you, and you ain't heard the last from Patty.
Oh no, not at all, not at all.
They looked real good last week against the 49ers.
Right,
I will say that.
Indeed. Speaking of sports, Brandon.
Yeah, sports.
That's the origin of this particular podcast is the sports and the sports talk and all that stuff. And I did not write anything down here, but you had mentioned your team not doing very well, and the big, I think the thing that I've seen a lot of is this it for Aaron Rodgers? Is this it for Tom Brady? Because both of the two of them, obviously, GOATs and Hall of Famers and all of that.
Yeah.
But they're both having historically down seasons team-wise.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are saying they should have retired, or it was Kurt Warner the other day. He said that some days, it's okay to realize that your body doesn't want it anymore, and then you're not as sharp as you used to be, and it might be time to think about the end. Referencing those two, not in those exact words, but that was the context of it.
I saw that.
So you being the resident Packers fan, I have to ask you, what is your feeling? You and the Packers group that you're in, things like that. What is going on around Aaron Rodgers land?
It's frustration mostly. I don't think it's age catching up to Aaron. I look at Tom and I watch Tom and his body language and kind of how Tom's just reacting to hits now, because he didn't usually get hit very much, but his line's a little bit shaky this year. He's lost some pieces to it. That he doesn't have the security that he usually does, and he doesn't like getting hit in the first place. He's gotten hit a lot this year, and I think that's been tougher for him. So he hasn't quite looked himself. But, Aaron's case is he's just more pissed off and frustrated because he knows they have a good game plan. He knows they have talent there, but they're not executing. So I think his is more frustration. I think he still loves to play the game. He doesn't have the personal stuff going on that Tom does. He's also doesn't have the age that Tom does. The skills are still there. The frustrating part is that to the layman's eye, if you're just watching it on TV, it looks like, oh, Aaron missed that throw or Aaron threw to nobody. The reason a lot of that's happening is because guys are not running routes the correct way. They're not snapping off. They're not sharp. And so he's throwing balls to where he expects people to be, and those people are not there. Sometimes, in some cases, not even close.
Right.
Some plays are just a hair off. He threw a dart to Amari Rodgers that was just off his fingertips. He had to dive for it. Amari Rodgers is a shorter guy. It goes to a taller receiver. He makes that catch. But again, they're banged up. Lazard didn't play. Christian Watson was their top, wide receiver pick. He didn't play for the second straight game because of a hamstring. Randall Cobb went down the game before with an ankle injury. He's on IR. So, we got Sammy Watkins back this week, but he
former
looked like
Buffalo
a guy
Bills Sammy Watkins,
who hasn't played in 4 weeks either because he has injured too with a hamstring issue. He didn't look right, and including on that last play when they were going to get the first down, they needed 1 yard, which, again, puzzling to me why they aren't just running it, because they have two great backs back there. You can get a yard, but they're going with these quick slant passes to the wide receiver. Well, the reason Dobbs gets hit when the ball just gets there is because, again, mental errors. Right. Sammy Watkins is supposed to be blocking that outside guy, but instead, he blows by him like he's running a route and then is 7 yards down the field wide open and then realizes, oh shit, I was supposed to be blocking there and the play's over and we lost the ball and the game's over now. So those kind of things are happening frequently and it's getting frustrating for him because he's like, hey, we practice this shit all week.
Right.
We come in with a good game plan. If we execute and we do what we're supposed to do, we're going to be successful. And this year, it seems like more than any year around the NFL, every game is like a one-score game.
Yeah. So
1 or 2 plays missed could cost you a game now.
It really can.
There's a very small margin of error all around the league. I mean, when you're having teams like Jacksonville with you
right
to the end, when it's a one-score game, Washington, on paper you think, oh, Washington's terrible. But if you look at the losses that they had, they're all one-score losses, and they lost to good teams.
Right.
It's not like they're out here losing to Jacksonville and losing to the Houston Texans.
Can't even say the Jets this year.
Yeah.
Can't even say them this time.
You can't. I mean,
at least for now.
You see these teams, and you look in the NFC, and the NFC is very mild right now too. So that's why like Brady and Rodgers can be like, listen, we're 7 games in, we're not where we want to be, but we're by no means out of it.
Right.
Because you have the Eagles kind of running away right now, but they are good, but they're not somebody I would be like, oh man, look out for the Eagles. They look amazing. They don't, because they look like at a couple of games that if they made that one mistake, then it would be game over and they would have had a loss.
Right.
The first week, they almost blew that 27-point lead against the Lions. And they held on by a field goal. So
I'll be curious to see how many Eagles fans, especially newer ones, jump off the bandwagon once Philadelphia inevitably starts Philadelphiaing.
You know, but Dallas was out there with house money and Cooper Rush, which I thought was the most asinine few weeks of football commentary I've ever heard. Oh, should Dak Prescott be worried about his job? No, he shouldn't.
Yeah.
Because Cooper Rush isn't very good.
Right.
He makes a few timely throws, but if you had Dak all game, they probably have a lot more points than what they had to begin with.
Right.
They beat a Cincinnati team that was struggling to kind of gel. They were still on that hangover from the Super Bowl.
Right.
They beat a Washington team by 3 points.
Right.
Dallas hasn't been very impressive either, but you look at their record and they're like, oh, wow. Same thing with the New York Giants. The Giants are 6-1. Every game that they've been in has been a 1-score game.
Right.
When
I will say,
one play goes against them, they're an under 500 team.
I will say with the Giants, what I do like about them, and you can tell what Brian Daboll brings that Joe Judge didn't have, is an understanding of what to do with a guy like Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is he's obviously not a Tom Brady. Aaron
he's no
Rodgers.
Joe
He's
Flacco.
no Josh Allen or whatever, but he's no Joe Flacco either. He's not elite.
He's not
but
elite,
in the same, having a coach like Daboll.
Hey, Joe Flacco's 1-2 this year.
Yes, he is.
He's got a win.
He does have a win.
Big win under his belt.
Yes, he was the start of the streak that the Jets are currently on right now.
Yep.
But back to Daniel Jones really quickly. Daboll has an eye for at least what to do with that type of quarterback.
Yeah.
And you can see as each game goes on the confidence in Eli's son and how well he's kind of performing.
Yeah.
Performing to the best of his abilities, whatever they may be.
Yeah, they have a lot of next man up mentality too, because they are down a lot of players. They're a very unhealthy team right now, and they're still finding ways to win, which is good. But as the season ticks on and the competition becomes a little stiffer, that's when you're going to really see what those teams are made of and see if they rise or if they fall. I still feel like Green Bay and Tampa and probably the Rams and 49ers will still be in the mix come the end of this thing. It's not going to be 4 NFC East teams and 2 NFC West teams and 1 South and 1 North.
Right.
I think it's going to be the same players are going to be in it, but there'll be a couple new faces. Philly was in it last year. They lost their first playoff game against the Bucks. The Vikings would probably be the newest face, and then the Giants, obviously. I still don't buy into the Vikings either. Like, I don't feel that they're a very good team either. Their record shows that they are, but if you watch their games, it's nothing really impressive about them. Nothing really pops, and you're like, wow, that team is dominant.
Right.
At least with Philadelphia, you look at it, and they're like, hey, their defense is flying right now. They're getting a lot of turnovers. They're getting a lot of quarterback pressure. Speaking of Eagles, they get advertised versus the Texans next week.
Now I'm hoping
tough game.
I'm hoping that the Eagles will break out the Kelly Greens.
Yeah,
next week's game, that would be pretty cool.
I wish they'd take a cue from the NHL, because the NHL is bringing back all these retro jerseys too for their alternates.
I saw that. I saw the Flames retro alternate.
Yeah, did you see the Pens one too?
I
right?
did not.
Oh, I just ordered one.
Did you?
Yeah, it's. I ordered one. I pre-ordered. It should be here in a couple weeks, actually.
All right. Well, while you search that, back to Aaron Rodgers really quickly, because I did think of something before we veered off of topic and talked about Daniel Jones. Where are you on the whole? Well, Aaron Rodgers didn't attend training camp. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's the
I like
Robo
that.
Penguin from the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are you on the Aaron Rodgers didn't attend training camp or
It's all
preseason,
horseshit.
all that stuff?
It's all just media bullshit. Again, like him spending a couple of weeks over at camp is not going to make Christian Watson catch that perfect 75-yard touchdown pass on the first play from scrimmage go right off of his goddamn hands.
Right.
Like, you got to make a play. That has nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers being there. He has done everything that he needed to do. He never plays in the preseason. He hasn't been to camp in years.
Mm-hmm.
He shows up when it's time to work.
Right.
Preseason camp, rookie camp, that's for rookies and stuff to kind of get to know, hey, these are the expectations when you come here. And he's in contact with all these guys. He's talked to all these guys. He tells them what he's looking for. They go over the playbook and they're like, hey, this is what I'm looking for from you guys. This is what I expect on these plays. What do you see on this read, or what do you see on this film? He did that stuff. He doesn't have to be there holding people's hands. And I think that it's very easy to go out when things aren't working right and criticize the process, but the process has been the process. And this is the same process that they've been pretty much doing every year in the last, since Matt LaFleur has been here.
Mm-hmm.
And with Matt LaFleur being here, they've won 13 games every season. So,
Right.
It's not something that's like, oh, well, we had a couple of rookies in here because Devontae Adams is gone and Marquez Valdes-Scantling is gone. Great. But you should be able to read a playbook. You go through the reps in rookie camp because there's no contact or anything. You're just
Right.
throwing balls around.
Right.
You're wearing shorts.
Right.
Like, it's not a huge deal. But when things go south, people like Rex Ryan and Chris Canty and all these other knuckleheads on ESPN need something to talk about. And it's kind of annoying. Like, I wish we would start winning so that, like, the everyday soap opera, when I log into ESPN, there isn't, like, 7 different video clips of this guy's blast Aaron Rodgers, blast the Packers, blast the effort. And I was like, dude, shut the fuck up.
It was Bart Scott.
Yeah.
Was the one that I heard. I actually heard earlier today. I'm guessing he said it yesterday, the day before. And I heard it while I was working over there.
Yeah.
And this was on in the background here. But I heard him say that, it was a counterpoint to someone else's point of, to your point where Aaron Rodgers has been around long. It's not like he's fresh out of college or 1 or 2 years experience. Like, the dude's been playing for fucking 20 years. Is like,
you could catch a fucking football.
Right.
If Jordan Love's throwing you the football, or a football machine's throwing you a football, you should be able to catch a football.
Right. So you are not in the Bart Scott.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not anywhere close to that, because you know what? Like, if you get to this level, you were drafted to be in the NFL.
Right.
Your job is to read that playbook, to know where you're supposed to be, and be there on those plays when you're called.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers standing at camp, they had this thing where they were saying, this was what they were saying earlier, that Aaron Rodgers' presence just being there is going to snap these guys into shape.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's not. They're going to have even more pressure with Aaron Rodgers sitting there watching them all day, try not to screw up so that they make the team.
Right, for sure.
They're on the team. They performed in the preseason when Jordan Love's throwing to them.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers throws a better ball. You're making mistakes on the field. That's not Aaron Rodgers' fault. That's not Aaron Rodgers not coming to camp. We're in week 7 and guys are still running the wrong routes.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, no.
You practice all goddamn week.
That's yes, it's partly the players there,
so
but it's
you
also
go
partly
7 weeks of the NFL plus 3 weeks of the preseason plus camp, and you still haven't figured out where you're supposed to be on a play. That's on you. That's not on Aaron Rodgers.
That's not on Aaron Rodgers at all. No,
and you know what? And Aaron came out today, after Chris Canty said, "Shut the hell up. No one wants to hear it." Chris Canty, you ended up on a team with 3 Hall of Famers and won a Super Bowl because of it.
Right.
You ain't shit. You're a bum, and you're on the you got a job at ESPN because you can talk.
Right.
You're telling him to shut up. Well, guess what? None of his teammates complained about it. None of his teammates came up to him and said, "Hey, I'm bothered by what you had to say." And then when he tried to say this thing where he's saying when they screw up, he's like, he's not saying we screw up. He's putting them under the bus. No, Aaron has been very candid that he's missed throws.
Right.
He says, and he's made throws that he wishes he could have thrown a little better and done a better job with. He says, but we need to eliminate the mental mistakes.
Right.
And that is correct.
He said simplifying it a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, and Matt LaFleur came out to his defense today, too, and said, hey, listen, sometimes the truth hurts. You're not going to love it. But guys are making a lot of mistakes.
Right.
They're not in places they're supposed to be. They're not where the ball is supposed to be. He's like, when you have a play that is called and it's an out play, you better be where you are because you've got milliseconds to get rid of that ball.
Right.
He has to get to that decision, find okay, this guy looks like he's going to be open. I'm going to throw him open.
Right.
If you don't go to that spot, it looks like Aaron threw a terrible fucking ball to nobody.
Yeah. Right, absolutely.
And he's frustrated because last week, towards those last few drives, there were a couple plays called that were just kind of head-scratching. Like, we're on 3rd and 1, and we're doing these quick out passes.
Right.
And the guy isn't in the right place, but Aaron's kind of like, what the fuck are we doing?
Right, yeah.
Because why aren't we handing the ball off? Right. Aaron Jones gets 4 touches.
Yeah, that was
handing the ball off.
That was
AJ Dillon gets 3. I mean, Jones was involved in the passing game, but you've got 2 guys that average 4 to 5, sometimes 6 yards a carry, and they're like, okay, let's go away from that, and then we're gonna go passing every down for the entire second half.
Yeah, I think it's.
I don't get it.
I think it's funny to.
Who's that creep?
That is Tom Brady Sr.
All the way to the right.
That was all the way
with
to
the gold chain.
Oh, no, I have no idea who that was.
Tom Brady Sr.
No, Tom Brady Sr. was
the hat.
highlighted and showed he was wearing the hat.
Yeah.
But no, the thing with Aaron Rodgers and the media spin on him and God forbid he says one thing. Yeah, I watched the game with the Jets.
Yeah.
And after the win, and Aaron Rodgers,
well, he was. His vitriol that game was towards his line because Royce Newman shouldn't even suit up again.
But he didn't.
That guy sucks.
He didn't put it. The way that everybody is making it seem, it's making it seem as if Aaron Rodgers is being a complete jackass.
Yeah, saying
jerk.
Oh well, I'm the king here, and I'm perfect every time I go out there, and you guys need to catch up.
And I mean,
that's not what he's saying.
Yeah, no, it's not what he's saying at all. I mean, for a guy who has been to XYZ amount of NFC Championship games and is who he is, losing to a team like the Jets, and I understand. Yes, they're 5-2 and they're different, but they're young. They're a young team, very young. If you're an Aaron Rodgers, you don't want to lose to that team, but he didn't come down on his team he was like, I'm king shit on this. He's like, no. Maybe we need to simplify things a little bit more.
Right.
Maybe we need to,
guys are struggling with routes and things like that. Simplify it.
And that was part of what irritated me with what Bart Scott had said about him, which he alluded to. That it's your job to kind of help coach up your teammates and things like that. Like, no, it's not. It's not really his job to help coach up the teammates. You want that out of a leader. Yeah. And I'm sure,
and he does.
And I can't imagine that he doesn't.
With these guys.
I think just by default, by nature, him and in that position as a leader, if he sees someone screwing up, he's gonna be like, "Dude, pick your shit up and do this or whatever."
Because he doesn't do it like Tom Brady does. You catch Tom Brady on the sideline, and he's screaming his head off at players.
Well, they were flipping out about that.
They were flipping out about that too. But it's like, oh well, which one do you want? What are you supposed to be doing? Was he supposed to get into a huddle and pull everyone's pants down and start jerking them off? Is that what we're supposed to be doing? Mm-hmm. What I want to know is that all these tough former NFL players, these tough guys, the Bart Scotts, the Chris Cantys, the what's his name, Ryan. He used to play for the Steelers. He's in that fucking
Ryan
show
Clark.
too. Ryan Clark. These guys were all tough guys. Why is it their fucking takes are so fucking soft? Like, Aaron's supposed to be coddling these guys.
Right.
Oh, you got to be nice to these young guys. No, you don't. You used to fucking hang these guys up by their jocks on the fucking locker if they fucked up before.
Right.
And now all of a sudden we've got to pat their bottoms and tell them they're special.
I don't believe.
I don't
for
understand.
1 second.
Like, we're so fucking soft as a society. It's getting ridiculous.
Yes, we are. I don't think for a second though.
Oh, he yelled. Tom
Out of
Brady
the-
yelled.
Out of the three of them that you mentioned, I don't think Ryan Clark truly believes. And I don't even think Bart Scott truly believes that either. You know, I think it's just, you know,
I'm on TV and this
I'm on
is what
TV.
they
They're
gave me.
paying me. This is what I got to work with. I got to say something to be funny, or I got
Something to get
that,
clicks.
You know, but let's moving over to Tom Brady again, real quick before we hit the commercial break. You had told me as you walked in the house, and then I found the report here. The report is Gisele Bündchen. I never been able to pronounce her name.
Yeah.
Tells Tom Brady to retire or she's, quote, gone for good. And the article says Buccaneers quarterback Tom Brady reportedly has received an ultimatum. According to U.S. Weekly, Brady's wife, Gisele, has informed him that he either, quote, leaves football to spend time for family or she is gone for good. It's not specified whether he must leave now or next month or after the current year ends. Brady did recently say more than once that he won't be retiring during the 2022 season, but based on the report, she presumably wants it to happen sooner rather than later. I say this as a man that's gone through divorce, with children, and I don't wish that on anyone. You know, some divorces are amicable and things like that. Some are not. I'll leave. We're in a good spot now, so I no jokes about mine, but I don't wish that on anybody.
No.
What irritates me about this situation is not so much what's happening here. That's Tom and Gisele's business.
Yeah.
What I don't like is the football fan, whether you're a member of a particular mafia or whether you're just anti-Brady. Kind of Nelson from The Simpsons, whatever.
Pete Davidson on line one,
right?
Hilarious.
Like making light of it or whatever, all because the dude beat the shit out of your football team and mine, literally for
and every team.
Yeah, like
the only team he struggled with was the New York Giants.
Right. So I bring this up to acknowledge that you mentioned that earlier, but to kind of say to the they're not very good.
Wow, he just did the Ray Lewis dance.
He really did.
So disrespectful.
But
look at this fucking lineman.
He just let him go.
He legit just hightailed it the other way.
Oh, poor Lamar Jackson. Think he's going to be a Baltimore Raven next year?
I don't know, man. I feel a lot like Aaron Judge.
Oh,
if
Lord.
if he was going to re-sign, he would have by now, because I'm sure that the Ravens have backed up the Brinks truck for him, and he has probably said, "Nah, I'm going to see what else my options," because he's going to get paid no matter where he goes.
Of course, yeah, absolutely.
And I said the same thing about Judge. Like, Judge is going to have plenty of suitors if he wants to get out of this situation, and I had a feeling once the arbitration thing kicked in with Judge that he was gone, because they tried to lowball him for the arbitration after all he's done these last few years. It's not like he just, had an amazing season this year.
Right.
He's been really good his whole entire career.
Yeah, he's progressed. I'm a Yankees fan. I watch it.
He gets lowballed in the arbitration, and it's finally a big sigh and like, fine, we'll pay you the minimum of what we're supposed to pay you. And then they go and they offer him like a big contract after that, and they turn it down. Mm-hmm. He's gone. Like, I think the same thing with Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson should have got paid after he was MVP.
Right, yes.
Like, you don't get your MVP and say, all right, well, let's see how you perform the next 2 years.
Right.
He comes out and he performs at an MVP level last year, too. And he was the only reason you guys were actually legitimate last year.
Right.
Was Lamar Jackson.
Right.
And you still go through the summer and you have time to work out a deal and you still can't.
Right.
There's a max that he's going to get paid and you're not willing to pay it to him. someone else is going to. And you're going to lose your franchise quarterback. And franchise quarterback is the building block of a successful team. If you don't have one, you ain't going anywhere.
Right.
You may have a good record. You may move up the standings. You may even get a playoff game. But after that, if you don't have the elite quarterback going into those divisional rounds and championship games and Super Bowls, you can forget about it.
Right.
The Rams had great defenses all these years. Didn't fucking matter until they added Matthew Stafford.
Right.
The Cincinnati Bengals have an elite quarterback. The Buffalo Bills have an elite quarterback.
Right.
Kansas City Chiefs have an elite quarterback.
Right.
The 49ers get exposed. They get through their one game in the playoffs, and then Jimmy G kicks in, and they get their ass handed to them.
Right.
He can only get them so far. A mediocre quarterback is only going to get you so far.
Right.
If you have an elite quarterback, you have a chance to win a Super Bowl.
So here's where
Lamar is going to be gone.
Here's where I land on that, because I'm not 100%. I like Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
I like him. I genuinely like him. I want him to be great. I don't know if he, one, will be, or two, will not be will be healthy enough to see, because he's had his string of injuries in 2 years already. I see bits and pieces of it. Although in this streak that the Jets are on now, they've kind of taken the ball out of Zach Wilson's hands, rightfully so, putting it in Breece Hall's hands. But now you don't have Breece Hall, so what can Zach Wilson do? We'll find out.
I think he's going to be okay. I think to be a good quarterback, you have to have those. You have to fall. You have to struggle. Aaron Rodgers didn't come out his first season guns blazing to go to the playoffs. They didn't play very well.
Right.
He didn't play very well.
Right.
Peyton Manning sucked his first season.
Yep.
Zach Wilson hasn't had a season. He's been injured a lot.
Very fair point.
And they've been unlucky injuries.
Right.
Like last year's injury, he went, he should have slid. That's a rookie mistake. He got injured.
Yep.
This year, he was just running to the sideline, doing what he's supposed to do, and his knee gives out on him.
Right.
Again, that turf conversation, he's on that shitty turf. It's a big contribution, I think, to these guys getting injured. But I think once Zach gets... I think they're being smart, because if you try to put too much too soon on a guy like that, and you don't have the personnel around you yet, that's when you start to fail. That's when you get these guys beat up. That's when their top confidence gets shot. But the way the Jets are building it and the way they're doing it is correct. They're building a defense. Defense wins championships.
Yes.
You still need an elite quarterback. But if you have an elite quarterback and your defense is like Swiss cheese, a la Green Bay for about 7 years after they won the Super Bowl.
Right.
Those guys were putting up record numbers on offense, but we're also giving up record numbers on defense.
Right.
So it was a coin flip on what was going to happen. You get a defense that can put a little bit of slow to you,
right,
and your defense sucks, you lost.
Right.
So the Jets are building that defense. They're building a big line because they want to have a line that's going to protect him.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got your running game. So now your running game takes the pressure off the quarterback. Now you got to start getting those receivers, and who's going to be the guys that step up and are going to be the key receivers that Zach Wilson can throw to.
Right.
And so if Zach Wilson's staying upright, and Zach Wilson's got time back there, and Zach Wilson's got a running game he can lean on, Zach Wilson will progress.
Yeah.
He may not be an elite guy. Like, he's not going to be a Josh Allen, or he's not going to be a Patrick Mahomes, because those are once-in-a-lifetime guys.
Right.
But he could be a very good quarterback.
Right.
And I think time will tell with him. I think it's too early to say whether he is or won't be.
It is. But that said, if Lamar does leave, Larry David wanted him on the Jets, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
I mean, listen,
if you
Zach
have the
Wilson
opportunity,
may be good, but if you're going to get an opportunity to get an MVP in his prime, you're going to take the MVP in his prime.
Yeah, exactly. That's
so
kind of.
If
I forgot
Lamar
Deshaun Jackson
there.
was back.
Yeah, he did sign. He's going to be good for his one deep ball, catch a touchdown, and then he'll just disappear from the offense, and then he'll get released like he does every fucking year.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. Well, this is about it. This is a good time to take a pause really quickly, let the commercials hit, and when we come back, we will have not so breaking news, because by the time you hear this, you'll have already heard of it. But I'm going to say it anyways. This is Listen in the Podcast, or the JC Money Show on the Gear Radio Network. Stick around, Brandon. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen.
McDonald.
Huh?
He said Mike McDonald. I was like,
Oh, Tom Brady throwing his tablet on the ground. You don't know him, but he's your brother. Anyways, not so breaking news, because by the time you hear this, it'll be out, and I'm sure everybody and their social media grandmothers will have said something. But Brandon, coming through the news wire here.
oh,
Top Twitter executives fired as Elon Musk takeover officially begins. Musk's $44 billion deal to acquire the social media company closed as we were recording. It closed officially. Elon Musk officially takes control of Twitter for $44 billion. As
I'd be firing everybody too if I had to spend that much on that company.
As one of his first moves, he fired several top Twitter executives, according to 3 people familiar with the matter, who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss sensitive matters. One of those confirmed the deal had closed. I know, you know.
I just wonder if we're going to get more titties or less titties in their feed. Because I was away from Twitter for a while.
Yeah.
And then you alerted me to the fact that I'm liking all these different naked women, and I'm like following all these people. I'm like, bro, I don't even have Twitter. I deleted it off my phone. I was like, the only time I see anything from Twitter is when somebody sends me a thing, and then I open it in a browser to look at it. But then as soon as I scroll down to look more at comments, it tells me to log in or sign up. And I'm like, well, I saw what I needed to see, and I just delete it. And then I said, you tell me this. So I said, all right, let me log in. I log in, and I'm like, holy porn everywhere. Everywhere I look, I'm scrolling through. I'm like, Packers news, political news, comedy, porn, mom, porn, kill, mom, news, porn. I'm like, what the fuck is going on
here? Yeah, dude, it was crazy. It was showing because it kept showing up on my feed, and I mean,
I'm not complaining when I'm scrolling. I'm like, man,
but
titties everywhere.
Yes, but it was a little much.
Yeah,
Like I'd seen it, and it's like, okay.
Well, the weird thing is like you can see that I liked all these things, but when I logged into my thing, it doesn't tell me what I've liked or done anything.
Right.
All I can do is like go through my followers, and I'm like, yeah, I don't follow these people.
Yeah. So what did it for me was when I had noticed more of it. It was like 3 or 4 or 5 like in a row where it said you like this, and I'm like, I don't think he's on social media right now.
The only thing I have is Instagram.
So I brought
the same
up
thing. If you look at my phone, I've just got Instagram. I didn't even log into LinkedIn since I got this phone. It's there because it clouded over.
Yeah.
But I never opened it because I would always get that alert that like somebody posted something or here's your daily digest, and I'd always have to just open it just to clear it.
Yeah.
And now I don't have to open it. I'm like, that's kind of great actually. I don't have to fucking even look at that app anymore.
Yeah. But I saw it was like 4 or 5 of them in a row, and so I clicked on your profile, and over when you bring up the profile, it'll say, it'll have your like normal timeline.
Yeah.
And then it'll click the next item over is both your tweets and replies that you did. And then next after that is media, any like videos or pictures you post. And then after that is it says likes, and that will show you what tweets you physically actually like. And none of the porn ones were there. So I'm like, what the hell is this? What is going on? That's when I let you know.
Yeah.
If I've been reading correctly with all of the concerns that liberal Joes have with Elon Musk purchasing Twitter, I think they're afraid that
it's going to be Cucksville, USA.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's going to be Q at Twitter.
Yeah. It's going to be Truth Social, but on Twitter, like it was in 2016 or 17.
Yeah.
And I think that's what their big heartburn is. And I think Elon Musk loves the trolls so much that I think he it almost seems like he loves to let them think whatever the hell they want to think, even if he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, it doesn't matter. The fucking world's full of crazy people, and they're always going to have some platform. And if you start banning all these people from different things from saying shit, like, they're just going to find a new place to say that shit, and you're going to lose all the money and revenue. Like, let them fucking say whatever you want on Twitter. I don't give a shit. Like, I'm past the point of giving a shit what people have to say. Like,
yes.
People are just fucking stupid. They got nothing, like, better to do than, you know, retweet something their weird fucking uncle, you know, tweeted them in the family text.
Yeah, in the family text.
Where they're all, like, could have just fucking opened your window and shouted down to him in the adjacent trailer that you all lived in. Like, hey, look what I saw about Joe Biden. Heard he's a lizard person. He pulled back his mask and he's a lizard. Like, okay, cool. But all these people that, like, it's the left is too mad that he took it over and the right is too happy.
Right.
And I think that they all should fuck off.
Right.
I think they should all go into a fucking island and kill each other.
Yeah.
And then, like, the last one left gets to, like, get a fucking pencil.
Yeah.
With an eraser that
they could stick in their eye.
I survived the great stupid fight.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm over all that shit. That's why I got off of social media, because I just can't deal with it.
I took a
so
break.
much easier with Instagram because it's pictures, and if they write a bunch of shit under it, you got to expand it and hit more.
Right.
So you can tell by the first 3 lines of what someone wanted to write there that you can go, nope, not looking at that. Just keep going.
Yeah.
That's all I use it for.
I did a small social media break. It was quite liberating.
It's been great.
During the end of
since May.
During the end of the summer. Yeah, I know. I couldn't do it that long.
I did it for a year that one time.
But I am not using social media as much. I'm still looking at things, but I'm not retweeting, sharing, like the news or whatever. And I've really found my way to filter out the dumb shit.
Yeah.
So it's not as prevalent on my feed anymore. I will say that I avoid it around this time though, because it's election season, and the midterms are the most.
I've gone back in and like. I had to log into Twitter to see one of the tweets you sent me.
Yeah.
And I also had to change my password. So now it's stuck as a login, so I can go in now when you send me one of those, and then I'll just scroll through and just kind of... I'm getting so many fucking tweets from, like, Jim Jordan and Ted Cruz and every fucking, conservative cuck that I have no fucking interest in doing. I was like, so someone fucked my algorithm while I was gone.
Yeah, probably.
Because I don't see half the shit I used to see.
Well, I wonder.
And now I see a bunch of shit that I never saw.
I wonder if it had anything to do with that hack with all the porno thing, because technically the people that would willingly go and like all that shit and do all that shit on Twitter are the ones that are following the Ted Cruzes of the world and everything like that. So
Ted Cruz watches porn just like me on 9/11.
Did you see? Did you see Yankees fan?
Oh yeah, it was great
on Ted Cruz.
The one time I liked Yankee fans.
You remember when he called your wife ugly? Get the fuck out of New York, you fucking piece of shit.
And he's like, hey, here's my orange shirt with vest. Hey.
Oh, Lord.
He's the most spineless dickhead I've ever
He really
seen.
is. I will say I can't wait till election day comes and goes.
And then maybe Jim Jordan will get off of Twitter, because every time I log in, there's like 11 tweets from Jim Jordan on my fucking thing saying, well, this happened in Joe Biden's America. Just a reminder, schools were shut down because the liberal left. Hey, we have inflation because of the left. Hey, gas prices used to be $2, now they're $5. Hey, it's liberal. And I'm just like, dude, let's look at your fucking record.
Just block that.
I have, and it keeps coming back.
Oh, Lord.
Like, I've hit mute, and then it's like, all of a sudden, here he is again.
You may have to go to his profile physically and block it.
Yeah, because it's fucking annoying. So I just remind him that he hasn't done shit in Congress every time I see one of his tweets.
Yeah.
Just with a link to, the Senate with what bills that they've introduced and co-sponsored. And all of them are all horseshit bills. He's introduced 12 times, and all 12 times has failed. The Welfare Reform Act and Upward Mobility. And it's failed every single time. He has done absolutely nothing. He has 0.0 bills passed. But yet he's on every fucking camera and every fucking press conference all around. And it's like, hey, guy, what are you doing? You don't do shit.
Right.
You walk around without a fucking suit jacket all the time.
Right.
Learn how to fucking dress, dude. And also, you covered a fucking sex scandal.
Right.
In fucking Ohio State.
Yeah,
yeah, you're that guy.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to talk about that.
Yeah, I remember that. I forgot about that. And which is I'm sure what he was hoping
old
everybody
Beavis down there in Florida, Matt Gaetz.
Yeah,
and his fucking
fuck him, and fuck the other weirdo cucks that are
MTG.
Yeah, her too.
Yeah, you know me.
The potential running mate for Well, we'll leave the politics out of that, but it's I just can't wait.
After hours.
I just can't wait to not see those goddamn ads anymore.
Yeah, and the fucking lawn signs.
Yep.
Fucking billboards and.
I am gonna buy one of those.
And the 8 million fucking emails I've gotten to renew my fucking membership and donate. Today is quadruple match.
Oh yeah. I will say though, and I'll say this in closing, that presidential lawn sign that you had the Wu-Tang one,
I still have it.
Totally fucking buying that for my house.
Yeah, next presidential
election. I'm buying it and it's going up there.
Wu-Tang is forever.
Absolutely. And on that note, we will close it out here on the Listen In Podcast or the JC Money Show. Thanks everybody for tuning in and listening to us. Thanks for listening to the sponsors. Again, the easiest way to support this and every podcast in the Gear Radio Network is if you click that subscribe button. You get the downloads automatically, and it helps us in a way that we appreciate very much. Brandon, my man, let's do this again very soon, shall we?
See.
All right, good day to you, sir.
Good day to you.
So long, everybody. Good night now. Flavor, yeah, boy. The band is back together.
Yeah, boy.
Hang on, one more thing before you go. Remember, listen to our sponsors following this podcast, as that does help this podcast and this network out in a way that we appreciate very, very much. So if you could just ride it out 30 to 60 more seconds after this podcast is over, listen to those commercials, it would be doing us a very, very big solid. And again, we thank you.
This has been a presentation of the Gear Radio Network. For more, log on to gearnetwork.com.
Remember to see more National Football League action next week.